Okay, we are here today to have a look around this ship to see what work has been done since our last visit. Also, we're here to talk to the ship work supervisor, Mr. Bob Nichols, to get him to explain to us what has been done since our last visit. So, if you would like to tag along with me, we'll just take a walk round the outside now. Standing here up close to this ship, it doesn't look to me as much has been done, or I suppose I could say nothing's been done since our last visit. But then, I suppose really it's Oc Health and Safety's not allowing us to work on the outside all the time. She's sitting here on this barge. So until a more permanent land base has been given to us, nothing will be done, which is a shame really. I mean, when you consider and look how much work's got to be done here on the stern post here for the rudder to go back in there. I mean, we are fortunate enough to have the rudder here. I mean, which is a shame. So until we can get work on the outside, we can't put that back on. Okay, well, whoa, hang on. What's going on here? I've just said that nothing's doing on the outside, but I've just noticed there's a lot more scaffold here from before. It looks to me as though they're putting another entry or exit for safety reasons. As you can see, there's quite a bit of work to be done on the outside of the ship. But as I said before, I mean, we're not allowed to work on the outside until we get that permanent home. But just in case you missed the previous chats we had with Bob and the work being carried out at the time, here is a quick update. When we derusting all these beams, what is actually entailed?
Well, after the water blast, which gets rid of the loose flaky paint, we then got to get rid of the paint that's sort of still stuck to the beams and get rid of the rust as well,
right.
The surface rust as well. And we were doing that with a chipping hammer. So you can imagine the amount of people we were using with chipping hammers and how long it took. It took a long time. So we've since purchased, we borrowed an air compressor to start off with, but it wasn't good enough for the job. We've now purchased an air compressor that gives us a capability of using multiple needle guns to derust the beams. We've got 2 guys on it, and they'll probably do a beam in 2 5-hour shifts.
We're now standing down in the hold of this ship. Looking around, Bob, I mean, all this rust up there, will this be open to the general public in some future time?
Eventually it'll be open to the public.
So all this rust has got to come off then?
Well, it'll be open to the public before the rust comes off, but all the rust does have to come off eventually at some stage. So what we're doing at the moment is getting this area prepared for people to come down, the general public to come down.
Well, since the last time we was here, Bob, I see that we've moved. Is there a particular reason for this?
Yeah, as you can, you'll be able to see in a minute, the developers have moved in to build a housing development right alongside the ship. And to get us out of the construction site, or the information centre out of the construction site, we had to move the ship down the wharf a bit, and we turned it round to benefit us by having the stern of the ship facing where the people will be walking up from.
Right, yeah.
And the information centre is down at the other end of the ship now. So the information centre's out of the construction site, but we're adjacent to the construction site.
Right, yeah. It's a very significant day today. I have with me here Peter Christopher and Bob Nichols, who will explain what is actually going to happen today. Peter.
Thank you. We're undertaking a full restoration of the saloon deck, which housed the first-class cabins. One of the things that's currently in the saloon deck is a false mast that was put in by the Royal Navy approximately 1950. As part of doing the restoration work on the deck itself, we need to remove the mast in order to get access to the deck and do the necessary repairs. So the volunteers on board the vessel over past days have started to cut through the mast in readiness for it being lifted out. Once it's removed, we'll still keep the mast as a display, It is significant. We've been advised that in about 1950, Princess Elizabeth, as she was at the time, was entertained by the Royal Navy aboard this vessel, and that the Royal Navy fitted the mast to replicate the one that had been removed.
Okay, right. You are now as updated as we are. So, let's see if we can harass Bob for a few minutes of his precious time. Good morning, Bob. I wonder if we can just harass you for a bit of your time so that you can explain to us what actually has been going on since our last visit.
Okay. So the timber that we got funded through the crowdfunding website that we put up has arrived, and it's in a container down below, and had to be made specifically for us because our framework's in imperial measurements and not metric measurements, so we had to have it made specifically. And the idea of these benches that have been constructed to lay the plywood down there and glue them together. So we'll have a layer of decking timber underneath, about 20mm thick, and then we'll have a sheet of 70mm ply, 2.7 length sheet, and then a sheet of 2.4 metre ply on top of that, all glued together and clamped down with these clamps on top. You'll find there's 5 clamps up there, and the idea of clamping it down and putting it on this jig is that there's a camber in the deck, and that same camber is replicated here and here. So when we glue it down, it'll glue in the shape of that camber. Once that's done, probably take 24 hours to dry for the glue to dry. We'll then move out. Now if you want to look this way, we'll then move out with some lifting gear and start laying the deck across the framework, heading out that way. And we'll do that with a lifting trolley that we're going to assemble, and we'll just lift them out because they'll weigh probably around about 100 kilos each. Yeah, well those first 4 sheets will go straight down the centre line. You can see the centre line of the ship, but that string line. Yes. They'll go straight down the centre line, and then we'll go that way with it with the next lot.
So it's this whole area will
once we've done this area here, well, then we can move our workstation down there and then start working on this side. So we've got to rip up the old deck here and paint the deck framing underneath and prepare that ready for the decking to go on there.
So eventually then will all of this poop deck be repaired?
Replaced, yes.
It will be replaced, yes. Right. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Neil.
I've noticed there's a bit of a difference between this wrought iron here and the other wrought iron there. Can you explain why? I mean,
yeah, sure.
It's not original then.
No, it's not. This area here, there was the main hatchway originally, right. So where they loaded passengers' chests and cargo and everything into the ship out there. Up here, if you feel on both sides, it's got a double bulge, and this is how you tell the original ironwork.
Yeah, yes.
Out there. If you come over here into the middle, suddenly it's different.
That's right. No
it's only single-sided out there, and this extra sort of ironwork is, we think, put in by the Navy. So when they wanted to strengthen the deck over here.
Like to use as their parade ground, I suppose.
So I think it had something to do with anti-aircraft drill training.
Oh, okay.
Because they did have some guns on here, so for training purposes.
Well, I noticed we got the build tracks. Oh, sorry, I mean the college students back here again. Can you explain what they're actually doing? Are they the same trade?
Last year we were lucky enough to have the Year 9 students from Ocean View College come and volunteer for 4 days, which was really good and very appreciated. Last year they worked down in the bilge, cleaning out all the dust and the bits of rust and the rubbish down in the bilge. And we couldn't drag them away from that. That's why they were christened the bilge rats.
Bilge rats, right.
This year they've come down and we've decided to give them a bit more exposure to the normal maintenance that we do on board the ship. And currently we've got the Year 9 students again until Thursday of this week, another 4 days. And they're doing a variety of jobs for us. They're doing some painting. They're replacing the PVC in the windows.
Window frames have been made up.
Yes.
And well, of course, we don't want to go using glass in every one. No. We're not glaziers. But some heavy gauge plastic film.
Right, because these square windows were never in the original ship, were they?
Oh no. These were put in when it was converted into a hospital ship.
We've got Tracy here from Ocean View College, and she's looking after the kids that are working on board. Year 9 students are working on board today for this week. So Tracy, I'd like to explain a bit your role and the reasons why you'd like to come down here to volunteer.
Yeah, sure. So my role at the school is actually head of middle school. So I've worked closely with a lady named Carolyn Victor, who has organised this event for this time of year. So every year Ocean View College gets all of their Year 9s to engage in a volunteers program where they actually get to choose the agency that they'd like to work with. And then they engage in four full days of actually volunteer work, which is amazing. So we've got kids spread out all across the place. We've got kids at the salvos, we've got kids at food bank, working with Uniting Church.
We've enjoyed having them here. They've done a really good job. Last year they did a terrific job in the bilge, and they really enjoyed going down there. We tried to give them other work to give them a bit of variety, but they wanted to go back down there and finish off. So this year we decided not to put them down the bilge, but to try and give them a bit more of the work that we do on a day-to-day basis.
Thanks very much for that, Bob. That was definitely a very good update on there. Well, I'll be honest with you, I think a lot of work's been done on the inside of this ship since our last visit. And they're doing a very excellent job on there. So I can't wait really to see when this ship gets a permanent base, what's going to happen on the outside.